We are back with another episode of the Grunge Bible Podcast, episode 73, that is. My name is Ethan Shalloway, and I'm joined, as usual, by Chris Salona. Chris, you're looking extra spry today. How are you feeling?
I feel so the opposite of spry, but it doesn't matter because this is the episode number 73, and that's a lot to be excited about. I'm good. I'm good. It's a Thursday afternoon. I finished up work, and what better post-work activity than talking a little music with you, my brother.
Yeah, man, you can't beat it. It always, we never know exactly when we're going to record during the summer. So the days change. Thursday, it's Friday Junior. I'm knocking off from work tomorrow. We're going on a little trip with my brothers to central Pennsylvania for some disc golf action.
Very nice.
But you got one more day, and then you have the weekend. So we're just, you're right around the corner. We're getting there,
Yeah, and it's crazy.
Pretty BA.
Pretty BA, man. I think I'll have a quiet one this weekend.
A little cruisy, maybe a little
cruisy. The crazy thing, I'm looking down here, and this episode is going to be released on Monday, the 15th of August, which is basically, that's halfway through the month, and it's kind of wild. I don't really know where the time has been going. I like summer. I don't want it to end. I'm sad about that.
I know, man. This summer's been great. We've been rolling, doing a lot of good stuff. You've been super
it's rolling
active.
along. It's rolling.
Yeah, dude. You just had like 3 concerts in 1 week the other week, right?
I did. Yeah, I had a triple header. I did Lucy Dacus on Sunday. I saw Elton John on a Wednesday, and then I saw the Black Keys on Friday night. And I got really drunk for that one, but it was super fun.
Well, that's where you learned about James Legg. So you're drinking too much.
I did learn about James Legg
Shout out to last week's Song of the Week, James Legg. Dude, I showed that to Andy and Connor on the job, and I've listened to it a ton. Obviously.
Yeah, I've been showing that to everybody.
It's really a quality tune. Shout out to, I did see on the post that somebody said to listen to the original by Kill Devil's Hill, which is great. I wonder if that's one of the towns in the Outer Banks, Kill Devil Hills.
Really?
I'm almost positive. There's no way that it's not named after that, right?
I don't know. I think the band that wrote it is Australian or something. So
really,
probably not.
Kill Devil Hill. I went to look it up.
Maybe the town is named after the band.
Three in a week, maybe. Yeah, that could be true.
You never know.
3 in a week. I don't know if I've ever. I think I have 2. I don't know if I've ever done that because I've never really, taken part of a 3-day Dave Matthews weekend or something.
A festival, exactly. A celebration of Dave.
Well, it's coming up next week. I was talking to my cousin.
Is the fish run coming?
Fish at the beach. Yep. Fish at the Atlantic City, and they play 3 nights in a row, and you can literally stand in the water and watch them play from.
That seems like the dream.
From the water.
It seems like
I got a little Nixon.
Dream.
Oh yeah, that's an absolute dream.
Action here.
Absolute dream for them. Yeah. And little Nixon's hanging out with us. My brother's cat.
Yep, got some guests for the podcast. We like to keep it. Keep it friendly around these parts, and that's what we're here to do. But back-to-back concerts, back-to-back nights attending shows is tough just with like the schedule that I keep, and it kicks my ass. But I could do every other night, like I did that 1 week. That was fine. But don't ask me to go to 4 in a week. I think that's a little too much.
Yeah, I've still never been to a festival, and actually, speaking of festivals, so I was thinking about it this week because I asked them, I texted a group and I was like, we need to go to a festival. And it's because that Netflix released a 3-part documentary on Woodstock 99.
Have you watched it yet?
The day that it came out, I was on because me and my dad went to watch something.
Right.
We were rewatching Breaking Bad, and he was like, "Oh, I want to watch this." I was like, "Yeah, let's watch it together." And then I came in the next day, and he already started the first episode. So then I couldn't watch it, and I was spitefully, I was like,
"Yeah, that's a bummer."
Yet.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go. I want to watch. Maybe I'll do that tonight.
Yeah, I might cancel all my plans this weekend and do that. Just stand everybody up. Sorry, watching Woodstock 99.
That's right.
That's what we're gonna have to do.
So for today's episode, we have another band that we're going to talk about.
We do.
And
heavily requested.
On the Patreon. And it is going to be very serious. A very serious deep dive into one of our favorite bands. So, but before we do that, we do have some people to thank because this podcast would not be possible. This page would not still be running. All of however you want to put it, without our lovely supporters through Patreon, through our top tier. So, Chris, would you take it away with the top level amazing people that help run this?
I would love to take it away and thank our top level Patreon supporters. As you said, they make all of this possible. 73 episodes in and counting, and we hope they stick around. I would like to thank Eddie Vedder, got me through my second divorce, Shoe the Shoeless, I Hate Your Mom, Kitty Cooper, Brother Nature, The Blue Owl, Kara K, Fresh Tendonitis, Seattle 4 Fanboy from New Jersey, Carlene Salona, Jamie Lynn, What the Fuck's Up Denny's, our number one fan from Australia, Wayne Staley, Alex Long, Darian Riddle, Rachel Corning, Fuck Soup, Jade Mercado, Doug Endy, Black Hole Sean, Captain Hightop. I hope Captain Hightop enjoyed that Mother Love Bone episode last week. Right. That was for them right there. Marianne, Nikki Six, Release, Millie, Laura Nyreen, Alexis Shannon, Kayla Jean, Sunny Mashburn, and Chris LSMS. Thank you, as always, for your consistent and unwavering and ironclad support of this podcast journey over here on Grunge Bible. We are very thankful for that. And they give us the opportunity to have these discussions about bands, as we said last couple of weeks. And I think for the next couple of weeks after this, we're picking bands and we're talking about them. And this one right here is really one that I think it's long overdue that we discuss. It's been a long time coming. Huge impact, critically acclaimed across the board, including by us. I mean, this is one that's, right.
We post a lot.
Yeah, it's right there. It's right there. Yeah.
Yeah, this band is full of iconic members that changed. They all changed the the environment that their instrument was perceived. The guitarist, Hall of Fame. Singer, sung like no one else. I mean, just incredible lineup, a lineup of musicians and just stage presence that will just knock the socks off and just. Yeah.
Well, it's like you think about, right. And you think about the time that this band operated in. And obviously we're talking about none other than Guns N' Roses, the mighty Guns N' Roses, GNR, our favorite band. We like them a lot. And you figure the time that they operated in, kind of hot off the heels of the hair metal craze. And they kind of, I don't know how to describe it. If it was hair metal, if it was arena rock, if it was like a love child of the two, or if those are just synonymous and I'm getting too caught up on labels. But I mean, in the late 80s, I mean, they ruled the world in terms of rock music. I mean, they absolutely ruled the world, having put out a couple of those albums from the classic lineup. I don't concern myself with anything that happened after Use Your Illusion 2. Chinese Democracy can go fuck off. I don't really know anything about that.
Well, Chinese Democracy does have some interesting, there's some interesting storyline to that maybe we can get into after we go through, some bangers of albums. We don't want to overlook any of these ones.
Absolutely. I want to trawl the ocean floor and go on a deep dive into this band. And yeah, Guns N' Roses, we're talking about the classic lineup. I think all of these individuals are very, very distinct in the sense that I think you can hear them certainly sing and certainly play their instruments, and you kind of know who they are. You hear Axl Rose, you know who that is. You hear or you see endearing. Slash, you know who that is. Same thing with Duff McKagan on the bass guitar. Right. Izzy Stradlin as well. Just an absolute machine on the guitar. And then the drumming tandem from the classic era of Steven Adler and Matt Sorum on the drums. Really, really distinct and really.
I've heard them. Talked about in the same breath as Neil Peart and Bonham.
It's right up there with Neil Peart. Exactly. They're writing the book on drumming here.
Yeah, some of the best solos you'll ever hear.
Yeah, certainly. And you talk about, obviously, I think any Guns N' Roses conversation starts with Axl Rose. His flamboyance and his distinctiveness as a front person, and how very sensitive he was, and how very eloquent he was as a songwriter.
He was in touch with, the, how do I want to say it?
The purest form of the human experience, almost.
Yeah. He was just so in touch with the crowd, and he always had them on his mind. extremely respectful.
And the thing about this band too,
to the music and everybody,
right? And it was such a respect thing because I think if there's one thing about this band, I mean, on and off the stage, they carry themselves with such respect and such discipline and dignity.
I mean, like I hope to maybe someday own a business, or the way we run this business, it's out of, it's built off of merit. And when we're looking at people to look to, Guns N' Roses,
Yeah, they're holding the candle they're the
model
at the front.
The model child,
the
the
beacon of light.
Yeah, I mean, just incredible decision making throughout the years.
100%. And certainly that decision making, I think, also includes the music that they put out, I would say, from 87 to 91. So they had a 4-album run during their classic era. 1987's Appetite for Destruction, which took the world by storm back then. It's crazy how many people we talk to who are maybe, I'd say, about 15, 20 years older than us, that this was the record for them in high school. Like they were kind of metalheads a little bit. They weren't really into the whole hair metal thing. And this was obviously a few years before grunge or before any of the Seattle bands went mainstream. I feel like there's a pipeline of kids who found Van Halen from their older brothers or something in the early 80s. And then once they got to high school or whatnot, they claimed Guns N' Roses as their own. And that record for them was Appetite for Destruction. I mean, following that up a year later with GNR Lies, and then taking a couple of years off, and then hammering a double release on September 17th, 1991, 1 week before Nevermind, Use Your Illusions 1 and 2. I mean, talk about a masterclass right there. I mean, that classic lineup, they were only releasing music there from 87 to 91, but I mean, just shot after shot after shot after shot of excellence. And it's one of those things. And
And you're talking about Appetite for Destruction. I mean, what a first album, very first song, Welcome to the Jungle. That's the first, introduction to the great GNR that we know. And then obviously it has all the hits on there. You got Paradise City and you got Sweet Child of Mine.
Mr. Brownstone even too, for if you want to go one layer under the surface. Right. It's kind of crazy too, because this album is over 30 years old at this point. It's 35 years old this year. There's a few songs on here that will never die. Like, people will always know Welcome to the Jungle. That will always be played at sporting events, for example. Sweet Child of Mine will always be on classic rock radio. Paradise City, I mean, that one tugged at my heartstrings the first time I ever heard it. And I have a really good story related to Paradise City, actually, that I would love to share.
Nice. I would love to hear it. Does it happen to run parallel with the first time that you heard Guns N' Roses by chance?
No, it doesn't. So this was was later in high school. I think I was a junior or a senior, and I was already well baptized into classic rock radio. So I knew all the hits from GNR. Obviously, I originally had thought, for example, that Live and Let Die and Knockin' on Heaven's Door were GNR songs, and that they weren't Paul McCartney songs and Bob Dylan songs, for example. So I was well down the road, and had opened my heart to Guns N' Roses and opened my heart to the words of Axl Rose. And during this English class when I was in high school, I think it was my junior year, it was an AP class. So we took the AP exam in May, and we still had another month of school. And basically the class was over for us. There was no final because the AP exam was the final. And we were doing like a little poetry unit. And our English teacher, Mr. Clark, lovely human, he opened up class to us one day, and he said, he prompted us, he's like, next time we come in next week, I want you guys to bring in some poetry that affects you and that you feel deeply. And one of my really, really good friends, who to this day we laugh whenever we think about this, he comes in the next week and he gets up, he's like, hey, I have a poem to read that's from the pen of a 20th century artist here. Awesome. And he gets up.
Where this is going.
He gets up and he starts, and he's like, take me down to the Paradise City where the grass is green and the girls are. And then our teacher, Mr. Clark, cut him off, told him to get out of class. He kicked him out of class. He ejected him from the class. It was amazing. It was from the pen of Axl Rose.
So he didn't get to finish the.
He did not. He didn't even get to the chorus. He didn't get to say, "Won't you please take me home?"
Dang.
The fire was extinguished.
Man, Mr. Clark, what gives?
I know, right? I just don't understand.
I guess he's not I mean, I get maybe he didn't like, maybe he doesn't like GNR.
Maybe he doesn't like Guns N' Roses, and I can't understand
I don't know
that.
how
I mean,
that's
coming from us, I mean, they deserve their due and then some.
Right. I mean, I don't understand. Yeah, it just doesn't compute.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good one though. Yeah, that's really funny.
It was pretty good. I was a big fan.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah, I was a big fan, and I mean, this record, Appetite for Destruction, is inescapable. I'm sure you probably learned at least "Welcome to the Jungle" when you were but a wee boy, listening to the radio.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think my first introduction to GNR, we were on a family vacation in Virginia, and maybe it was Guitar Hero. It probably was. Yeah. But I remember like actually listening to this album, and then obviously also the songs that you talked about, like Knocking on Heaven's Door and some other stuff, and I don't want to say deep dive, but like I remember being like 13 years old and kind of going through the music and really
as deep of a dive as a 13-year-old can make.
Yeah, and just being really enamored by a guy named Axl and a guy named Slash.
And why was he always wearing the hat, and did his cigarette ever extinguish?
No, it never. Yeah, exactly. One long cigarette.
That's it. I don't know how he did it.
I don't either. But no, I kind of remember that for some reason. It was one of the few things that stick out from. Like I don't even remember like. I remember a indoor water park, like sharing a bed with my brother and
GNR.
Yeah. Wild.
It's so funny though, because I remember when I was a kid, growing up here in New England and being a sports fan, the Celtics had started to get good once again when they acquired Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen, and they used "Welcome to the Jungle," I believe, as a part of like the entering the court part before the game, when they were getting the crowd hype. And at the time when I was maybe 10 or 11, you could not convince me that there was a harder song that existed than "Welcome to the Jungle." I mean,
absolute bonkers.
Yeah, I immediately went to my gateway computer, my family's gateway computer, and tried to download it onto my iPod Nano, and I was ripping that sucker. And that was obviously a segue into some of the other songs. I mean, you couldn't convince me there was a harder song than "Welcome to the Jungle." You couldn't convince me that there was a better ballad than "Patience."
November Rain.
Knocking on Heaven's Door. November Rain.
November Rain was that ballad for me. Civil War. Oh yeah.
I mean,
Patience always got me really deep.
Yeah. There's a really good version of Patience. I believe it's from the 1989 VMAs. Yeah, and it's super, super good. The slow stuff, Patience. Yesterday's is another favorite of mine from Use Your Illusion 2. Yesterday's got nothing for me. Time just fades the pages in my book of memories. I mean, this is coming right from one of the more heartfelt writers and humanitarians of the era, Axl Rose.
Yeah, you can't leave that part out.
Yeah,
either.
I mean, everybody focuses on the music. Exactly.
Go hand in hand. Yeah. I mean, just, people they would always reach in to use their stuff in movies or, sporting events.
Step
like you
Brothers
said.
With Sweet Child.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. That's my favorite rendition. That baptized
the whole generation into Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, it really did. It just brought a whole new light to it. Between that and, like I said, obviously Guitar Hero. I did look, this is segue into talking more about Guitar Hero, because we love talking about.
For us, Guns N' Roses goes hand in hand with Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock.
It really does. I looked up some of the songs on Guitar Hero, and so I will play a game. I'll read a band and see if you can guess what song from Guitar Hero is on it. This would be kind of tough.
This is going to be really tough.
So Guns N' Roses, I'll give you that one first.
Was it "Welcome to the Jungle"?
It was "Sweet Child of Mine."
Okay,
of course.
That's fair. Yeah.
Well, there's a bunch of them, but I was going to say, all right. So Alice in Chains. Do you know what song they put on for them?
Oh God, what did they pick? Judging by the way you asked that question, it has to be something strange. Was it like "We Die Young" or something?
No, that'd be a good one. It was Them Bones.
Okay.
And so I kind of went through the list, and I was kind of like, I was pretty proud of Guitar Hero. They didn't pick the hits.
Yeah, they didn't get the low hanging fruit. Except with Foghat, they picked "Slow Ride." That was it.
Well, I mean, that's all you got with Foghat.
That's like going. Yeah, exactly.
Imagine we've talked about that. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Guess what? I mean, Rage Against the Machine. You could probably There was a few
Killing in the
iterations.
Name of?
Killing in the Name of was I think this is Guitar Hero too, but they had Primus.
Bulls on Parade on there too.
Bulls on Parade was definitely on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nirvana, do you know?
Oh, probably Come As You Are, maybe, right?
It was a heart-shaped box.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure this is Guitar Hero 2. I think that was the one that now I'm getting mixed up, but
yeah.
Guess what Pearl Jam song was on there? Because they did have one.
Was it Jeremy?
This one's this one's a little bit more obscure.
It had to have been something strange,
not
like
that obscure,
Spin the Black Circle or something.
That'd be crazy. It was Life Wasted.
Really? Oh, I'm sure because that album came out in 2006 and it was the Guitar Hero had come out around that time, so I'm sure that had to have been part of the reason, because I don't think that would get picked up anywhere.
Right.
Good song. I mean, we love the Avocado album, but
STP.
Was it Sex Type Thing?
No. It was Tripping on a Hole in a Paper Heart.
Paper Heart. Okay. Tiny Music. That's pretty good right there.
Jane's Addiction. They had Stop on there. The Foo Fighters, they had Monkey Wrench. They had a lot of good stuff from Primus. They had John the Fisherman.
Absolutely. That might be my favorite Primus song, to be honest.
Oh, 100%. And then of course they had Buckethead on there. They had Jordan, which if you guys didn't know, Buckethead is basically like a poor man's Slash. Like they look the same. They look the same. They play the same.
Buckethead was in Guns N' Roses.
and Buckethead had a stint with Guns. He had, I think I read something about Buckethead, and he has like 340 album. Like he's been on like something like that.
Yeah, he's
like
played on everybody's record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's a big deal. But he was in Guns N' Roses for like 4 years, was it?
Yeah, I think 2000 to 2004 or something.
It's wild. That's crazy.
Good old Buckethead.
Yeah, dude, he's the man. He doesn't. I don't think he speaks. I don't think he has any like his original.
He's got a bucket on his head. It's kind of probably hard.
No one knows what he looks like.
Projecting your voice a little bit. It's going to be some physical barriers there with a bucket on top of your head. But I mean, that's why
I think my top three. Yeah, I think my top three Guns N' Roses songs.
Let's hear it.
I do love November Rain.
Really?
It's like a 9-minute song. It's pretty. It's like a big ballad, and I feel like with these bands, I like the slower stuff. I like Patience. It's in my top three.
Yeah, Patience fucks. It's good.
yeah. And I do like Don't Cry.
Okay,
that's a really good one for me.
Yep.
But how about you?
I don't know. It's really interesting because there's a lot of firsts that I had with this band. Like I'm thinking about Mr. Brownstone, and that might be the first song that I like explicitly knew was about drug use, for example. I remember discovering, I was like, holy shit, I'm listening to a song about drugs. And I remember that. I think my top three, definitely Patience has to be in there. You know what else is in there for me? Used to Love Her from GNR Lies. That song, That song's a bop. I mean, I used to love her, but I had to kill her. I mean, I guess maybe sometimes. Yeah. And then I think for me, I think Yesterdays might be in there too.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of songs like Paradise City is up there too, but like there's some commonalities between some of my favorite songs. I mean, Patience, Paradise City, Yesterdays, they have a lot of clean guitar at the beginning before it kind of builds in. Like I'm thinking about the opening riff to Paradise City and how iconic that is before the drums come in, and it just sounds like just big arena rock and yeah, it's just big. I remember like incessantly watching the Paradise City music video on my little iPod Touch when I was like 12 or 13, when I finally got one of those, just watching that over and over again. And I remember I was like, wow, like this is the coolest band in the world, Guns N' Roses. Like this is the music that I like. And it still is. I mean, nothing's changed about my opinions towards this band. I discovered them on 94 HJY sometime in my past, and I still hold them in the highest of regard that I can possibly hold them.
Yeah. I mean, they're still out there playing.
Yeah, the big reunion. This is what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. If everyone's still alive, they'll always come back.
There'll always be a reunion. Yep. And they're playing in South America, then they go to Asia, and then Australia.
Yeah.
And I looked up the tickets, and there is a VIP Paradise City package for $650. $650. The lowest price you're gonna find. I'm not sure. I didn't look it up, but it's the Paradise City. There's also Welcome to the Jungle package.
Oh, fuck that! There's a Paradise City. I don't want to go to the jungle. I want to go to Paradise City.
I want Paradise City. It's like $200, $210 for the floor. And then the cheapest tickets are like $130. So that's highway robbery if we're talking.
Oh, absolutely. Big arena and the bleeds up there. Well, it's interesting. So they got back together. Now it must have been 5 years ago or something, because I think I was in college. And if I remember correctly, the first tour that they did in the United States was received pretty well, and it did really good numbers in terms of attendance and obviously revenue at that point. But that's like one of those things, if all of the band members are alive and are capable of playing music, and you were in an iconic band 30 years ago, how silly would it be to not just reconvene and make a boatload of money for like 20 nights of work one summer, and you just go off and not work for several years? I mean, that's why, the Gallagher brothers hate each other so much, but if Oasis ever got back together or did something, I figure that would be met with similar acclaim.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, that'd be absolutely
Oasis
crazy.
Came back. Yeah, it's something that they will forever take part in and tap into. So I think I want to talk a little bit about Chinese democracy real quick.
Yeah, please do, because I know nothing about this.
Well, so it was planned.
I know nothing about this album.
It was set and planned to release in 1999.
Okay.
And
what gives? What's the delay?
Well, it took until 2008 till it was actually released.
Right.
Which is like 9 years.
Yeah.
And Geffen Records, they dropped them in 2004, dropped the funding. And Axl was he wanted to produce it. So I think it was him, and they dropped their normal producer. I think his name was Mike Sink. But guess how much money they spent on this album?
Oh God.
To produce.
How much did they spend?
And maybe the numbers are maybe it's not that big of a number, but I think it said the biggest it ever in history. It was $13 million on this record to produce it.
Wow.
That seems like
a high amount of money to spend on a record.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if it was the highest at that point, but I don't think that an album should cost $13 million.
That seems like a lot of money.
And it took almost 10 years. They missed they wanted to release it in 2007.
Yeah.
And then it took a whole extra year. It took 9 years. It just was so drawn out.
Well, it's wild too, because if they want to release it in 99, the band blew up, and then most of Guns N' Roses went and did the Velvet Revolver thing, and then they circled back around and released the sucker during that or after that.
Could you imagine dumping $13 million into an album that no one could commit to, basically, or something? I don't know. It's sad.
Yeah, I don't know any of the songs on it, and maybe that's for a reason.
Just Chinese Democracy.
Yeah,
the title track. That's
yeah, and that's the thing. I think I recall that, because when I would have been around 7th grade, and I had some friends that were getting into music, and I'm pretty sure one of my friends was dating one of my classmates at the time, and she got him for his birthday, I think, a CD of Chinese Democracy when it came out, because he's a big GNR guy. But speaking of money,
aren't we all?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of money, we need to talk about Geffen Records and how much of a money printing machine they were in the late 80s and 90s. I mean, if they had only had those two bands, if they had only had Guns N' Roses the first 4, and then once they signed Nirvana away from Sub Pop after Bleach for Nevermind, I mean, the amount of money that in hard specie that was rolling into Geffen World headquarters. Yeah, you hit the lottery twice.
Big. Yeah.
That's unbelievable to me.
That really, some massive acts.
Yeah. Well, and this kind of speaks to the gravity of the grunge movement in the sense that Guns N' Roses was at the top of the world, I would say, in terms of rock stardom,
universe,
and notoriety. Yeah. And I mean, they released Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. And like I said, it was 1 week before Nevermind. I mean, that historic run of September 1991, where you have Bad Motorfinger and Nevermind, and then you had Pearl Jam releasing 10 in August of 1991. I mean, the amount of good music that was coming out or in that time, in that year. I know last year we did an episode about that, commemorating all the albums that came out in 1991, but it's interesting to me how competitive of a space it was for people's ears, and it's interesting speaking with people that were, you know, maybe in their teens or in their 20s or 30s around then, and just like the different sects that developed and the kind of clickiness that developed between different genres. Yeah. It's like, oh, like I'm a Nirvana guy. Like, I'm not going to listen to Guns N' Roses. And obviously the famous quarrels that they had over the years, you know, between Kurt and Axl and the whole bands against one another. But it's really interesting. Like, I kind of forget that all of these things were happening at the same time. And there really was something for everybody. I mean, even like in the hip hop sphere, I mean, East Coast hip hop was going crazy in the early 90s and the mid 90s. And all of these bands were overwhelmingly successful commercially and critically. And it's a wonder people were able to keep track of everything and listen to it and give it its due.
It's a pretty incredible landscape for music. That 5 years or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then the 90s had the best music.
I think it did.
End of the 80s and I feel like the whole 90s were just some incredible stuff. Live music is good today, but it sounds like, I mean, just the way that it was, I mean, we talk about it a lot, just the way that social media and the internet and the way people access music, just how different it was and how valuable it was to people to go to live shows and people were, it was passion.
Right.
You know, it was a lot of passion for the listener.
If you wanted to see it, you had to be there.
You had to be there.
You had to be there. You had to wait for the MTV special for your favorite big bands that were
because you're not going to get this pro soundboard, pro recording video. No, it's not like it is now.
I mean, people aren't dumping off 200 hours of Fish soundboard audio to their buddies.
Not 200 hours.
Back in 1990.
256 shows, Chris.
Oh my God.
Each show is about 4
1,000
hours. So it's like 128 gigabytes worth of soundboard audio.
That's half of my laptop's memory right there. I should just automatically dedicate it to Fish.
You know what he said? You know what he said when he gave it to me? He said, "If you want more, let me know."
We're only scratching the surface here.
I'm like, Chad, I don't know what that means.
Yeah. I don't know what any of this is, and I'm fucking scared. That's exactly what that is. Oh man, I'll tell you though, it feels good to get some Guns N' Roses discussion on here.
Right.
People have wanted to hear our opinions on this band, and I know we've kept it a secret for a long time which way we lean, and really what our thoughts are and what our favorites are. So it's good to finally have this conversation and give them the respect that they deserve.
Yeah, it's easier. I'm glad that we had this conversation because some people don't like GNR. I don't really understand.
I don't know what to tell them.
Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, I would say so. I try not to get involved with the controversy behind that. So I just try to. I like what I like.
Yeah, I don't like to antagonize people with stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like pushing buttons when there's no need to. So
no, there's really no need.
I'm surprised we haven't done this episode earlier.
I'm surprised it's taken us to episode 73
because they kind of influenced Seattle in grunge in a very large way. I mean, Axl and these guys. I mean, they kind of paved the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody was looking south to Guns N' Roses, and that definitely inspired everybody. I would say. I mean, we're talking. I mean, inspired countless artists. So. Glad we're still
I think
here.
Mark Arm is quoted saying that, if he could be in any other band, it would be Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Like if he could have any other career.
Me too. If I could pick one band, I'm playing rhythm guitar in GNR circa 88.
Yeah, rhythm. I just want to be back so I can watch.
I just want to be back there. You can have your SIGs. You don't have to do anything too complicated or challenging. You play a nice clean Les Paul into a huge stack of amplifiers and just let it be, live and let die, I guess, right?
Live and let die. Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
I mean, these guys inspired everybody. I mean, even Robert Plant's on the books too, along with Mark Arm, and I think Lennon as well. And
yeah, Lennon. Really... I remember. Yeah, that was incredible.
The list goes on.
I remember seeing that interview live. That was awesome. Okay, if you're still listening, thank you so much. You have made it through 36 minutes and whatever it is. So we're very happy that you're still listening. If you'd like to support this podcast, there's a few ways to do it. Most importantly, become a patron. That is going to be the easiest and most effective way to support us. Or leave a review. I think we like those a lot, right, Chris? They help the algorithm.
We do like those a lot. The
algorithm is big.
Yeah.
The algorithm is big these days. So
always got to cozy
up
to that algorithm.
That's right. If monetary support is not your way of support, that's fine.
Yeah.
Do the visual support review. I don't know. What is that?
It's an act of service, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yeah, just a little.
You can give us your money or your time, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Or you can do both.
Yeah, so a little road trip update though. So we're planning for that.
Yeah, let's talk about this a little bit real quick before we give our songs of the week.
Yeah, we'll do a little check-in. So Chris and I we planned this trip around the Taylor Hawkins tribute concert on September 27th.
Yep.
And we're going to head to Boulder, Colorado, Denver, and then down to Boulder for a concert on Sunday the 25th.
Yep.
It's either we aren't completely decided because Jackson Brown is playing Red Rocks and the tickets are now only $380. We should have struck when it was a little cheaper, but for Jackson Brown, it may be worth it. But we probably are going to see the Front Bottoms
down
on
in Boulder,
Sunday, which will be really sick. And then we have a day to drive to LA, and then we're going to see, the Foo Fighters tribute, Taylor Hawkins tribute, and then we have plans to possibly see Petey on Friday in Ventura.
In Ventura,
he's opening
for Manchester Orchestra, I believe. Yeah,
Manchester Orchestra. Orchestra. But we're also kind of pinballing some ideas about maybe seeing some baseball games. Could be really fun.
Yeah, go have some brews at a ball game.
I kind of, I was like, San Francisco's pretty far away, but 5.5 hours, I think, from LA. But I don't know, man. Maybe we should drive up and down the coast a little bit.
Yeah. California Coastal Highway. And this is where you come in if you have suggestions or if you live out there and you want to give us the inside scoop in the skinny. We would love to hear that. But the nice part, Ethan, at this point, the flights are booked. I mean, we're going out there. We are flying in to Denver, Colorado, and we're flying out of LAX. And come hell or high water, we're going to be there.
We have the two important things. We have the flights and the rental. That's all we need.
Yep.
Everything else will figure itself out in the middle.
It all gets figured out. So,
and really, one thing we are working on.
Yeah.
I want to say one thing we're working on is a large road trip playlist. And I think it would be kind of cool. I wonder, can we make a public playlist that we'll have two separate,
I think we could make a big collaborative playlist and just let people dump the suggestions in there.
Yep. And we'll let people just put whatever they want. Yeah. And then we'll have this. I mean, you probably already have shared a grunge, like a playlist, a road trip playlist. I'm assuming your
I've got
personal
a few
one.
Of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll title it like, Grunge Bible road trip playlist and see what people can come up with, what they could add. And then we'll share our playlist when it's all said and done. Cause it's a work in progress and inspiration comes at any moment.
Yeah. You never know when it's going to strike. So, we just have to wait for it. Sometimes it pops up when you least expect it. So we're always waiting and ready for it. So that's
probably I'll probably put some GNR on after this.
I think you have to. I mean, you imagine rolling down that highway in the Southwest to Paradise City.
I mean, what's going on right now?
That's the stuff dreams are made of, right there. That's really, really important. Aside from that, we would also like to thank our producer, Drew McFadden, for all of his work that he does on this podcast. We appreciate his efforts and his ability to kind of just handle the ups and downs. Sometimes we're good, sometimes we're bad, sometimes we're in the middle. But Drew's always good. He's batting 1,000 with 100 home runs, and That's what we can all aspire to.
That's exactly right. You're so kind to Drew.
You have to
Chris.
be. I mean, I'm just trying to follow Axl Rose.
That's right. Yeah, I know.
Very kind.
I mean, he led the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drew is the man. I love that guy. Songs of the week. Should we get into it?
Songs of the week. I think we should.
So have you been listening to a lot of music this past week, Chris?
Oh, I've been listening to a lot of music. Yeah. Have you?
Yeah, it's been a pretty good music week. I feel like, I've been listening on the job. I've been listening to a lot of stuff I had saved to save some batteries. So I'm
doing your homework.
Going to the downloaded stuff. But I did hear a really cool song on the radio it's not a new song, I don't think. But it was super reggae, had me hooked right away, like had the reggae hook.
Yep.
And it happened to be by No Doubt. And No Doubt and Lady Saw, and the song is called Underneath It All. And just incredible, just good reggae, good hook, and just such a summer vibe, and just had me really going. I had to pull up my phone and put the Shazam on.
Oh yeah. I'm not ashamed to pull out the Shazam. I'm not ashamed of that.
No, me neither. So yeah, Underneath It All by No Doubt
that's good.
Really solid. So it's an easy pick for me. What about you, Chris?
So for the last week, I've basically been listening to one band and one band only, and that is
Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses. I mean, always. I mean, I say my prayers to Guns N' Roses, every night and twice on Sunday. Actually, this week I've been listening to a band by the name of the Brian Jonestown Massacre.
Right.
And one of my buddies, actually, my same friend who turned me on to James Legg, about a year ago, turned me on to these guys, and my song of the week is going to be from them, and it's called Whoever You Are. And I don't know how to describe this band. They're kind of like experimental shoegaze rock. I mean, all those kind of like buzzwords that people love to throw around about music that kind of sounds atmospheric and challenges you a little bit, but it's a lot more diverse than that. It's a lot more challenging than that. And they have so much music that it's so overwhelming, and they have way too many albums that I'm even afraid just to go album by album, because I know it's going to take me a long time. So I've just
what year are they from?
So they started in the 90s, and they're still going now. So I'd imagine they're probably, a lot of the band is probably in their early 50s, I would say. But I mean, their first album, I believe, came out in 95. And they just released one a couple of months ago, and they're, apparently, I don't know a ton about them, but it seems, I've heard, they put out music all the time and they fight all the time. So what could be better than that, obviously?
That sounds like a good band.
Yeah. It sounds like Grunge Bible. Sounds like the three of us. We don't miss weeks, but we're fighting all the fucking time because we hate one another.
Fight those battles.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's my song of the week. I really like it. Like I said, my buddy, we get together and we have some fun, get ourselves in a good frame of mind, and usually end up talking music. So that's really, I appreciate. I think that's one of the coolest things about friendship. You learn music from them. So another example of that, and I'm excited to continue to do that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm excited to listen to a little bit more of them, because you sent me a few songs of that and saw you post them stuff. So I know that the recommendation has stuck, because I've now been recommended, and you all have been recommended.
Not a flash in the pan, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Just like James Legg was not. I know this one won't be either.
This isn't with the level of seriousness of James Legg, in the sense that I'm not imploring everyone to go listen. Like we both did with James Legg, but yes, both of these are good. I'm gonna listen to your song every single time. As soon as we get off, I go and listen to your song. So I'm gonna continue to do that.
On a sadder note, a more somber note, you just sent this to me, but Weezer has canceled their tour because of low ticket sales.
They were doing a Broadway tour or show, and they canceled it. Not enough people bought tickets. So my question, Ethan, now that we've seen this, how many tickets do you think it would take for us to purchase for them to put it back on?
Oh, this is a great question. I guess a better question is, will they play if it's empty? If
clearly not. They canceled the shows.
But so like they should give, I don't know. I mean, like they should just they fill it up, make it free.
No, maybe it's not fiscally responsible of them. You think they want to go in and mail in Buddy Holly to 75 people on Broadway?
I don't know, man. We probably have to buy a lot, but that's what I mean. Like buying tickets won't do it. We have to fill it, Chris.
Right.
We have to give incentives for people to go.
Yeah. Honestly,
so if you go, you get paid. We have to pay. I think we have to pay people to fill.
In addition, so we comp their tickets and we compensate them for going.
Yes. I think that it's like a survey, or it's like those things you take in college where you take surveys and get paid like one $50. Of those,
they compensate you for your time and travel. It's like a physiological survey. And
when is music going to be like that?
I hope not. And honestly, we've taken on our fair share of battles here at Grunge Bible. I think getting Weezer to put this engagement back on is a little bit above our pay grade and our brain grade.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, sad to hear about that though. That really stuck in my craw today. That ruined my day.
No one likes to hear that.
No, so nobody does.
But we'll save our money, and we will go
to Jackson Brown.
Well, Jackson Brown or Guns N' Roses is what I was gonna say. All we have to do is get to Australia. Yeah. Well, they play in a bunch of other places, but yes, Jackson Brown. So
we'll be out there.
The jury is still out. So, all right, everybody, thank you again for an awesome episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't, go back and listen to an old one, and if you listened to all them, we'll be back next week.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, rock and roll. Have a great week. See ya.
Take care, everybody.